seeing you guys with this new album, and I put new in quotes because it's previously unreleased tracks that you guys wrote in 1990. What is it about maybe these particular songs, or maybe the time right now that you really wanted to revisit this?
You know, it kind of happened accidentally. You know,
The
a couple,
best things often do.
yeah, about 3 years ago, maybe a couple 3 years ago, Robbie noticed an article in the New York Times about a fire at a Universal warehouse in California, and they listed all the bands that they think had lost tapes, and it was a long list, and we were one of the bands. So he called Johnny and told him that, and I think that kind of sparked, so to speak.
No pun intended.
Yeah, a search, a very long search of which Johnny has led the way. But you know, we all helped and discussed all the way through with various degrees of memory of what songs we did back then. So what exactly he was looking for, and so yeah, and then you know, by the time we found, you know, we found six out of probably 9 or 10, we'd guess. But we were happy. Well, actually, we found five plus out of the live version. And by the time we heard them, it was like, wow, these are way more lively, way more. They sound exactly like us and Road Apples, and that because it's the truth. That's exactly when and where we recorded them, and with the same producer and engineer, and so that's why. And we were all like, whatever we were, mid to late 20s, and it sounds exactly like us. And so it was exciting to hear, and we were all like, hey, let's work on this and maybe even put it out. And so it was all just kind of little increments of Zoom call conferences, you know, getting more enthusiastic about the idea. So yeah.
Johnny, were these songs still so relevant to you, or like moments, memories for you in your mind? I mean, what was it about these songs that you really championed this?
Well, you know, it's really crazy to be in a band and write material. You go to a studio with a great producer, Don Smith, who we really admired and loved and wanted to impress. And so we went down with really an armload of songs. I mean, some bands have that, as they call it, the sophomore jinx, you know, where they have their entire life to write that first record. And then when it comes to number two, it's like, you know, they got one single and then the rest is filler. And we didn't want to be like that. And we kind of, you know, set ourselves up for going on the road with Up to Here, and then writing songs and sound checks and filling little things in, and songs like New Orleans is Sinking, and just being very productive and I won't say taskmasters, Paul, but we were very conscious of our next record coming up, and that we were going to be probably doing it with Don. So when you get in a band, you get in the road, you go and play these songs, and then you go and record, and then you're on tour with that new record, Road Apples. You kind of forget about those songs. You might play them a little bit, but then you move on because you're writing the third record, and the process begins again. So when I heard these the first time, it was really just sort of a band at their prime, firing on all pistons, and you know, we never really were a band that were under a lot of pressure. We were very much in our own little bubble, and I think that the thing is, we really wanted to impress each other with the way we played, and I think that was it. Just the five of us being in a room and bringing a song to a next level. And I think that for me, the excitement of it, the long-winded answer to your question, is that I just think it's that you know, we were friends and we were making records, and that's something that a lot of people don't get to do. And we were having fun with it. We were in the greatest city, in one of the greatest cities in the world, New Orleans. And it wasn't lost on us. The moment wasn't lost on us. And then we have these other little gems that are really kind of other pieces to the puzzle from that time in our life.
Are any of the songs remastered or adjusted in production, or were you just guys like chef kiss? This is already good. We can just move forward in the process.
No, well, none of these, all these songs were recorded by Don Smith, and who's an engineer by trade, but also a producer, and he had an engineer, Bruce Barris, and we had our guy, engineer, sound expert, Mark Breakin, assisting them, and yeah, so it was all done at the same time. What was the question again? Sorry, I had a good answer too, I thought.
If you guys edited in any way the
Oh yeah.
arrangement or production of the originals.
No, well, so anyway, Don mixed the whole of Road Apples, but he didn't mix the songs that we found. He would have rough mixed it, you know, just for our listening purposes at the end of that night. But so they were all just kind of rough mixes or a hockey stick mix, you know, everything's up. And so we had our guy, Mark Breakin, remix them. And we didn't really even instruct him, but you could tell he was there for the session, you know, so he lived it just like we did. And he definitely mixed it with Don in mind. What would Don do, I think, is what it was in his mind as he was mixing. And so he mixed them very true to how Don would have. I think Don would be proud of him, the job he did. And we got them all remastered. So yeah, we kind of had to do that anyway. But yeah, I mean, it jumps out of the speakers, and you know, we're proud of Mark that he was able to do this, and he's been just a massive help with many things recently. So we're lucky to have him. We plucked him out of we're from Kingston, Ontario, and we plucked him out of a local sound company years and years ago, because I think he did sound. He was assisting someone doing sound in some club in Kingston, and then all of us were like, did you see that kid? Did you talk to that kid? Like, he's super smart. And anyway, so he started with us as a guitar tech, and then was our main sound man for many, many years, and then went on to bigger things, and now is back with us, helping us with this kind of thing.
I love the name of the album, Saskadelphia, and how it is a tribute to your touring at that time. And I heard a rumor that it was denied by the record label as your initial title for Road Apples. Did that offend you anyway because they deemed it too Canadian, or were you guys like, that's the business, but now we get a chance to redeem ourselves with the title?
No, we actually had a nice little one up on it, because with the way the titles worked in those days was we had a chalkboard and we would throw names around, and and we would also do stuff to make, you know, each other laugh. So we had some titles, a long list of titles. Saskadelphia was one that just kind of stuck, because at that point in our career, we were playing similar clubs in America and Canada, and it just, you know, it just kind of made sense. You know, it was like we literally sometimes were like, well, where are we going? What city are we in? And it wasn't from any sort of in something we'd induced. It was just like, because we were on the road quite a lot for that first record. So that was one of the first titles. And we were signed to MCA in those days out of Los Angeles. And they said it was too Canadian, the Saska part. They didn't think that was going to sell in America. And that's fine. That was fine by us. And then our second title that we gave to them was Road Apples. And that was where they interpreted it as, oh, great, songs from the road. But as you know, as Americans know too, that, you know, Road Apples are what, you know, kids play with, you know, horse droppings. They play hockey with them. So it couldn't have been more Canadian in the end. So it got the appropriate title.
One of my favorite tracks on this one is Ouch. Do each of you have a track that holds a special place in your heart from this one? Or kind of, are they all your babies at this point?
I don't know if I have a favorite. I like that one. That was always fun to play. Everyone's really kind of like buzzing all over. Yet we're playing together, but yeah, you know, all those songs have a story and a history. Maybe quite likely all of us remember a particular song a bit differently, but they were all songs that we were expected to be on the record. And just the puzzle, the first puzzle of the whole thing, the Road Apples, it just kind of pieced together, and there it was. And all those songs, we just were like, okay, well, we're moving on to more new songs. And we never went back to them in general. So, yeah, I mean, I think Ouch, I probably have the most fun listening to. But honestly, just the batch, I'm very, very happy with the batch of them.
For me, the one that really stuck out in the listening, I remember Ouch. And it's funny because it's a great question. I found out when we were doing some early press on this that Robbie said Ouch was one of his favorite hip tunes of all time. And I just never got that from him because, you know, I might have known he liked it, but I didn't know he, you know, thought it was.
It was so significant to him.
Yeah, it was so significant to him. You know, for me, the one that jumped out when I initially heard the transfers was Just As Well. Because it kind of sounded really, really raw. It just had this particular groove that we have. That, you know, bands kind of have their own thing. Like the Replacements have their own chords. The Beatles own a few chords. The Stones, Pearl Jam, and the Hip own a few chords. I couldn't tell you what they are because, you know, Paul and Robbie will go on the road, and 6 months after they've tracked the song, we'll be working it out backstage, and they'll say, "No, I played the G. No, you played the E. No, when we were recording the record, I played the E." So even they're like, because they're doing their own thing, and I really love that about it. So for me, that just kind of reaps hipness. That song, I really like that. That and the transfer was just like, wow, we really have something here. It's really cool.
I also enjoy Not Necessary because it's a sweet tribute to Gord. Is that something you guys consciously made sure to include to honor him, or was it just, you know, one of the tracks you stumbled on and you're like, all right, this one still sounds so good?
Well, it's all honoring Gord. I really believe individually we honor him every day. You know, like he crosses my mind. We all feel like, well, I'm not going to speak for everyone, but I feel like he's kind of with me, kind of watching, kind of approving. Always wanted me to do well, and I think he would like what we're doing. He would have had the same reaction, like, "Oh my God, this stuff is really good. This is exciting." Necessary was one of the ones. I think Necessary was the biggest surprise to me that it didn't get on Road Apples, because we were certainly treating it like it was in the starting lineup for sure. You know, but you sort of just move on, and you know, it was very obvious we wanted to open with Little Bones. You know, once that song kind of got done and we got the good take of it, and Don was he wanted the perfect take. He didn't want to change anything about us, but he just play like you play this song how it goes. The song's great, and we play it, and you know, really kind of think, okay, we got it, one of those two. And Don's like, no, you don't got it, and we'd have to do lots and lots of takes. So possibly what happened with Necessary is there was never a take that was satisfactory to him and to all of us. I listened to the take on Saskadelphia and I think, wow, I feel like that's like a really good take. But so something happened, but it was certainly Necessary was an obvious choice to put on there because it was one of the songs that we probably were playing a lot in that session.
You guys put on an epic live show, and with concerts that have currently been on hold, what do you all miss most about being on stage?
I've said this a number of times. It's the creative process of kind of just what we were doing, preparing for this record, the Road Apples, getting on stage and trying new stuff out. You know, that was always fun because in those days, when you put a record out, there was a real lag time. You know, you'd finish the record, the artwork would be done. You'd be sitting with a cassette or a CD if you were lucky. And you'd have it for like 5 months before it came out. And it was a really kind of an interesting golden time. You didn't have to worry about people downloading it, and you could play it for friends. And then when you got out on the road, you were raring to go with new material. So, you know, when you're on stage, you wanted to play those new songs for people, but you're always interested. And Gord Downie, more than anyone, he really wanted to be doing new stuff all the time. And so I think for me, it's like that creative burst of playing live, but also the unknown of being on stage.
Wow.
Yeah, we always had fun on stage, even at bad gigs, you know, like bad surroundings. It was very rare we ever had a bad gig. We were all gig committed. It was the best part of the day. We were usually traveling that day, or we had traveled overnight from somewhere. And so it was no time to waste that. And so we were all giving it all. And of course, mistakes were made, but the band was just better and bigger than all of us. And so we just flew by the mistakes. I mean, I wrote all my parts not to have any mistakes, well within my limits.
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah, so anyway, yeah, it was all about the gig. So, and we had fun. We had tough crowds. I think I mentioned a long time ago, a year or two ago, we did a little interview with somebody, and he was asking us like stories. Like, we played in Stockholm once. We were doing a Swedish tour, and I think it was our first time there. And it may not have been Stockholm, but whatever city it was, we were expecting a crowd, and we didn't get one. We just got like 4 or 5 guys sitting at a table in front of us, all like really hating on us. So, like, it was just wow. And it became a running joke within the band, because we'd kind of between songs, like, you're checking these guys out.
Yeah.
Should we do this? Anyway, so it was always a together experience, you know, and everyone really wanted to be there. We were all very committed to the band, and we knew that playing live was the key to our success, turning on rooms. And you know, we were a live band the whole way through, and we learned how to record in the studio, but playing live kind of came pretty naturally to us. And I think because we knew each other so well, and good friends and similar tastes and all that.
What would you all like to say then to people who are continued fans and supporters of the work you do with the Tragically Hip?
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
Sure. What would you like to say to everyone who are continued fans and supporters of the Tragically Hip?
Well, you know, Paul said it the other night. I mean, we've been afforded this great career in music because of our fans. You know, they're the people that, you know, buy records. They don't buy, you know, tickets to one show. They come to 3 shows. And so for us, we've been so lucky to have these great fans who've given us great feedback. And you know, Gord Downie was always about, he wasn't into just playing a show ever. And I'm sort of figuring that out now, like just, you know, looking, you know, being able to reflect on things. He was always about an event. He wanted to have 2 opening bands to expose those bands, be it Canadian bands or American bands or band. We took a band from New Zealand on tour. We, you know, if we really dug them, we wanted to expose them. So he was about the event, and that's very cool. Not just sort of checking in and saying, "Oh, we're playing a show in Cincinnati tonight, and then we're in Edmonton tomorrow." But it's like it was a thing. And so just, you know, thank you for the career that's, you know, that we've had. You know, we've had that because of people supporting live music.
Well, those are